Hey guys, Brooklyn here. Just wanted to take a second to let you all know about the upcoming content. If you have no interest in anything besides Xenoblade Chronicles 3, I wouldn't recommend it, but feel free to skip ahead using the timestamps. Now that we're getting close to finishing Xenoblade over on Twitch, the translation analysis of Digimon Survive will be coming up. As far as I understand, the translation is fairly liberal, and there's no English voice acting, so the text has to convey all of the meaning on its own. Should be pretty interesting. If we're lucky, the follow-up to that will be a live translation playthrough of the Japan-only Yokai Watch 4. I believe Level 5 is on record saying that that game would get a localization, but judging from their current situation, I don't know if that will actually ever happen. So, if you're a Yokai Watch fan, think you might be interested in the series, or if you just want to see the thought process when translating, that should be a lot of fun. If you're wondering what the next follower goal will be, then you're in luck. I have decided that when I reach 500 followers on Twitch, I will do a translation analysis of Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. Metal Gear Rising is known to be one of the best game localizations of our time. That being said, Metal Gear games are dense and have extremely advanced Japanese vocabulary, so an analysis of the translation is a big task to undertake. If I'm going to do the prep necessary to provide that content, I want to know that all of you want to see that content. The last thing I can announce at this point is that either before Yokai Watch 4 or after Yokai Watch 4, we will do a live translation playthrough of the Japan-only Segagaga. The game is an RPG that satirizes the game industry and is known for its humor, but we unlucky folks outside of Japan never got to experience it, and I'm looking forward to rectifying that. That's all the announcements for now. If you want to support the channel, or if you would like to see any of the content mentioned, be sure to show your support by subscribing on YouTube or following on Twitch. You might also find it helpful to follow my Twitter so you can know when those games are being played. The links for each will be in the description. And if there's a game you want to see played, whether it's for translation analysis or a live translation playthrough, be sure to let me know in the comments. I currently have a list of potential games, and maybe your idea can be added to the list. Alright, that's everything I have for you guys for now. On to the video. Welcome to Translation Mysteries. In this video, I'll be using live footage from my Xenoblade Chronicles 3 stream. But first, I want to make one thing clear. Localization is an art, not a science. There's almost never a right answer, so these are just my opinions at the end of the day. With that out of the way, let's get into it.
こけで滑るから気をつけろよ。おーっと。
言ってて自分が滑ってりゃ世話ねえな。
何がおかしいんだよ。笑うとこじゃねえだろ。
In Japanese, he says, "What's so funny? This isn't something you should laugh at." You can see in the English, "Oh yeah, bloody hilarious. You're always taking the mick out of me." Fun translation.
なあ。何か言った？お前、滑っても知らねえぞ。
Oh, actually though, Shirane being translated to "Don't come crying to me" is a really good translation. If you want to say that you don't care about something in Japanese, there's like a lot of different ways to say it. So like in this case, he said Shirane, even though Shirane or Shiranai sounds like it means like I don't know. In some contexts, it actually means to be saying to someone like, "Don't complain to me, don't come crying to me. If something happens, don't look at me. It's none of my business," right? So, good translation there.
私たちはもしかしたらメビウスの意志で戦わされているのかもしれない。
ウロボロスの存在はそれの邪魔をする。
気時計解放しちまうからな。
Ouroboros spells trouble in Japanese was jama o suru. Jama means to like be in the way, so jama o suru is to get in the way of something. Basically, same meaning, I think, in both languages, but interesting difference in the wording.
それにしてもメビウスってとんでもねえ奴らだよな。
とんでもねえやつら。とんでもない。とんでもない is like absurd, unreasonable, outrageous, offensive. So, とんでもないやつら. She's describing the Mobius as とんでもない. Here in the English, they've written it as, they make my feathers stand on end.
平気で人の命を奪って。たく、冗談じゃねえ。そういうやつをノッポン語でなんて言うか知ってるもん。わかんない。教えて。悪役って言うもん。
This is similar to the last time we've heard of a Nopon word, which in Japanese was just a regular word, shisho.
その時、師匠に。
師匠？
ああ、ノポンの言い方ですごい人って意味なんだって。
Here, akuyaku is also just a regular Japanese word. And he was asking the same thing. You know what we call people like that? Us Nopon? So in Japanese, it feels very weird, but in English it actually feels more natural for the Nopon to be like, you know what we call people like that? And then they make up a word. The Japanese is very weird in that for me, I feel like.
リク、悪役って？
悪いやつって意味も。
ああ、そういう意味ね。
But then it sounds like the non-Nopon characters don't understand the word akuyaku, which seems very weird. I guess you could argue that maybe they don't have that word in their language, but that argument doesn't apply to the previous situation where Lands was like, what do you mean by shisho? Because in the flashback where Riku is explaining the Magic 7 sword or whatever it's called, he also uses the word shisho in that cutscene, and that's a flashback. So there's no reason for them to not know the word shisho when Valdi says it.
だから、その怖さを知る者だけが持つ資格があるもん。って、リクの師匠が言ってたもん。
So, some very interesting stuff going on.
じゃあ、世界が悪役ですもん。皆さんが嫌なことをやらせてるですもん。悪いやつですもん。
世界が悪いか。考えたこともなかったけど。
Sekai ga warui it does mean the world is bad, but there's a bit of nuance of the world is at fault. So I could have seen them translating it either as the world is bad or this is the world's fault. Translation is fine.
あの兵士たちの命の日時計、残り少ないのかもしれない。まさかノア、助けに行くなんて言い出すんじゃないだろうな。気になるんだ。言葉にはしにくいんだけど。
Kininaru is like for something to grab your attention or like something bothers me or I'm curious. Something like that. They translate it to something's off.
僕たちはそんな曖昧なものに時間を使っている暇はない。そうだろ。
それでも気になるの？
あ
あ。なあ、こうなったら聞かないぞ、ノアは。
See, Senna said kininaru again, and they translated that as it bothers you, avoiding repetition in the translation. Another situation where a sound in Japanese is translated to words.
それに、ノアの勘ってやつはバカにできねえしな。
Baka ni dekine. Baka ni suru is to make fun of something, so we can't clown on Noah's intuition or we can't make fun of Noah's intuition. Translated here as usually pretty on the mark.
行くだけ行ってみるってことかな。
わかった。ここで言い争いをしていても仕方ない。
Iarosoi is to argue. So Taion says he doesn't feel like arguing, or there's no point in arguing, which they've translated to be more like of the intellectual type of dialogue. I can see no amount of reasoning is going to dissuade you.
さすがに飛び越えるのは無理だろうな。迂回すればいけないことはない。こっちだ。ああ、ありがとう、タイオン。こんなところで立ち止まっている暇はないと言っただろう。わかったなら先へ行くぞ。
わかったなら先に行くぞ。If you understand, let's move that way. Very clunky in English. They've translated to, come on, we haven't got all day.
はい、申し遅れました。私は譲り派。コロギータウの軍務長を務めています。
If you didn't hear that, her name in Japanese is Yuzuriha. Yuzuriha. I found it. Oh my god. Here's the translation of when I looked up Yuzuriha. You can read it for yourself. I'm not reading it. I'm guessing they didn't want to translate her name to Daphne Philum. I see. So Yuzuriha is just a type of plant, basically. Not a juniper. Juniper is another type of thing, another type of food or plant, right? I see. So they probably translated her name to be a type of plant that people have heard of in English.
私たちはその度に死んだ人たちを土へ返していきました。私たちもそうなるだけです。
いずれ来るものに怯えてどうする。死ぬことは決まっているんだ。今まで通り過ごして何が悪い。そんなの。
そんなの。But how do you live without hope? そんなの. Sonna means something like that. So the Japanese is basically just Noah questioning what that guy just said. It's unclear at this point what the Japanese was pointing towards. You can infer a number of different things. This is surely one of the things you can infer, but the problem with translating lines like that, though, is like "sonna no" doesn't really translate to really anything in English, because in English you wouldn't really cut off your sentence that way. Like the best translation for that, if you wanted to stick straight to the Japanese, would be like, but in English you wouldn't stop there unless you were cut off. Whereas in Japanese here, he wasn't really cut off, he just stopped his sentence there. So if you only wanted to say what the Japanese said, it'd be really awkward. That's all for now. There will be more videos coming soon, so if you enjoyed, be sure to like and subscribe. If you want to discuss the translations live, be sure to drop a follow on Twitch at BrooklynB_JP. We'll also be doing a translation stream of Yokai Watch 4 once I hit 200 followers, so all the more reason to hit that follow button on Twitch. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.